Hi, my name's Bryce. I couldn't be there today because I'm part of the Cal Poly Pep Band, and we're going to support the basketball teams at the Big West Tournament. But I will be going over the two primary steelmaking processes that occur, the BOS process and the EAF process. This is the BOS process. BOS stands for Basic Oxygen Steel Making, and it is about 60% of what makes up the world's output of crude steel. It's about 54% of the United States, and that is a number that is slowly declining due to the EAF process, which I will go over in a little bit. There are different types of the BOS process. There's top blowing, bottom blowing, and a combination of the two, which refers to the oxygen that's being blown onto the melted materials. And I'll go over to why that is important in a little bit. The materials are mostly liquid hot metal from a blast furnace, and also some scrap metal. The process is the materials are put into a basic oxygen furnace. Oxygen is then blown into the furnace at supersonic velocities, which oxidizes the carbon and silicon that are in the materials and releases a lot of heat to melt the scrap metal. The carbon and silicon then rise to the top to form the slag that you see in the picture. The product is then molten steel at around 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now moving on to the EAF process. EAF stands for Electric Arc Furnace, and the materials that are put into it are all scrap metal. The process for this is the furnace that you see. It's charged depending on what kind of grade steel that you want it. And then you go into the melting process, where all the materials are put into the furnace, and the energy can come through either electrical or chemical energy. And then the charged electrodes create a large arc of electricity to generate the heat used to melt the materials. Sometimes oxygen is injected into the material during this part to react with the scraps and produce more heat, similar to like it was done in the BOS process. Oxygen is then blown over the fully melted scraps, and the amount of oxygen is used to change some of the properties of the steel. Then goes into a slight refining process where they remove phosphorus, sulfur, aluminum, silicon, manganese, or carbon from the steel by having it react with oxygen to form oxides. These oxides go into the slag where all the undesirable materials end up. And then after all that process, you get molten steel, and then you have to go through a deslagging process to remove impurities from the furnace, which is the same for both of the processes, that you do need to remove the slag after both of them to clean out the furnace. Those were the basics of the two kinds of primary steel making processes. I want to again apologize for not actually being able to be there myself, and now I'm going to pass it on to the next topic, which is secondary steel production.